Hello, guys. Welcome to the Family Show, the very awesome Family Show, Season 2, Episode 5. And I'm here with country music, I'd say probably a star now, Ashley Puckett. Um, and she's here talk about her album. And I believe you're going to have another single that's going to be coming out pretty soon. Is that correct?
Yes, well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about it. And we actually just released the new single, Live Like You Love, this past Friday. So, very excited about it. Lots of great feedback already. People are really enjoying it. So, I'm really excited.
That's, that's, um, I, um, I was going to ask you kind of what that song was about because what I got from it was finding someone who loves you unconditionally.
It is, it very much so is. And it's a really, really cool romantic twist on stuff like that. It's a song that, yes, it's romantic, it's about a lover, but it could also be, somebody else that's in your life that just shows you a huge amount of love and kind of gives you a different perspective on living life in that same way, fulfilling your dreams, being adventurous. So it really is, a romantic way of saying you love me in a way that I wish I could love the world, and it's very special.
Right, right. And it's, I realize um, there's a little dichotomy on your album because you've got these really romantic songs, but then you got other songs on there that are, I was listening to, oh, let's see, I have it written down here. Um, Wow, what's her name? The music on it and the riffs on it reminded me a lot of When He Cheats because I saw you're like a Carrie Underwood fan and that vibe of it and that kind of guitars of it, it reminded me of that and it kind of got stuck in my head right away. Um, are those ones kind of fun to write? The like little like angry like anthem type songs, are those fun to write too?
They are. So I did not write that specific one, although we had a such a fun time recording that one and really making it mine. Just because of that, it is a lot more edgy than my typical romantic music. If you've listened to the album, a lot of people would know about me. That's my favorite style to sing. It's my favorite to write. But once in a while, you do have to break off into a little bit different of a zone and write something a little bit more sassy.
Right.
And that's one of them.
Yeah, and I was gonna say the that first one, Bulletproof, was kind of like that, but then I was really listening to it, and to me, it sounds like you're trying to get through to a guy that always wants to be tough no matter what, like even if you're alone. And so the song may sound one way, but when you listen to the story, it's kind of a different way than I thought it was at first when I first started hearing the music to it.
Yeah, and that's exactly as it is. That one too, just like What's Her Name, was a very, very fun one to sing. Very fun to record in the studio, and really get that personality into it. And it is the same. I mean, us women can be the same way.
Mm,
We can be the same. Trying to be perfect and trying to be all this when we're in front of somebody. But that really is just an anthem of we know you guys walk on water and you guys can't do no wrong. But once in a while, it's okay to let loose and just be you.
right, right, and it's easier to just be you if you can keep that up too. I've noticed than to try to just be like you say in the song, be the Superman all the time.
Right.
And I wanted to ask you because, like I said, I research a little bit more. I wanted to ask you about flying in that jet that you went in when you did the video, and I have to give props to you for putting the Kenny Loggins song in there from Top Gun because that I was like I hope you do that because um, that's just something really cool that I noticed when because I like watching YouTube videos too, so I got to give props to you for doing that.
Well, I have to say, because you found that video and brought it up and wanted to talk about it, you just might have made my day and been my favorite interview this far. That was one of my highlights of life at that point. It was one of those moments that, you know, you didn't get at all what you expected. It was so much more than that. And one of those life-changing moments, you know, just being able to fly that jet, you know, the G-forces and, you know, making you sick afterwards and, you know, all that kind of fun stuff. But that was a really cool moment. The video, I watch it. I'm guilty of going back and watching that here and there. So I'm glad you found it and liked it.
Yeah, well, it was also one of the very few ones you ever see people doing that. And like, I mean, you could have edited it out, but it didn't look like you got sick at all doing it either. Like you were just enjoying it the whole time.
Yeah, I didn't actually get sick, but after the ride was over, I was nauseous for the rest of that day and the entire next day. So right. It was an interesting experience, but worth every moment.
And then you went skydiving and bungee jumping too.
Yeah, I guess you could say that's kind of my stress relief, is, you know, the extreme side of everything. I've been etching here to get back and, you know, make a skydive. I haven't been in way too long, but yeah, skydiving, bungee jumping, just anything fun like that I'll try once, and those two I just happen to get hooked on. So
right. Which one was scarier to overcome before you did it the first time?
So I did skydiving once just to say I did it. Basically, I saw a video from a friend and I was just drawn to the TV. I said, this is so gorgeous, all the clouds falling through them. And I said, I have to do this. And from the first jump, when we landed on the ground, I can't say that I was scared at all. You know, I just said, well, when can we go do this again? It wasn't until I started going through the training that it actually started to frighten me a little bit, just because at that point I had my own parachute. You know, it was me in control, and of 40 jumps, the majority in training, you know, I've had, you know, 8, 9 tandems in there too. But I've never had a good landing. I always basically flip myself on the ground. So, you know, there's a lot of fear, I guess, in doing it anyway. Bungee jumping is a lot easier. You just have to jump and, you know, from there, get yourself back up. So there's a lot less stress involved in that, I guess you could say. But even the stress in skydiving that I find, it's still good stress because you're up in the clouds eventually. And, you know, the reason that I do it, it's not really for the rush of it. It's for the beauty of it. So I might be on that other end of the skydivers, but it's just really cool opening the parachute and just flying through the clouds.
Yeah. And Ridge Life, he wants to know, what was it like growing up in North Huntington?
I love it here. You know, it's nice because the way it's situated, it's actually in a very quiet area. So you can kind of pretend that you're out in the middle of nowhere if you really want to. But then when you're ready for some action, some fun, some city, we're only about 30 minutes outside of, you know, downtown Pittsburgh. So it's really nice. So no matter what you're really trying to get into, whether you want to go hear a band, you know, go have a long night out, walking downtown the city lights, you can kind of find all of it right here.
Yeah. He also wants to know, is country music big in Pennsylvania?
Believe it or not, yes. So what a lot of people don't know about Pittsburgh and this general area of PA, there's all kinds of music here. It's a very big music scene. So no matter what you're into, no matter what you're in the mood for, me personally, I like to listen to all kinds of music. So if I've had a long, stressful day, I don't mind sitting down, having a drink and, you know, listening to some blues music, or, you know, if you want to go find some pop music, rap music, you can find all of it. But there is a huge country market here. There's a lot of local country artists. So yeah, I mean, it's huge out over here.
That's awesome. And he says, congrats on the success of Bulletproof.
Thank you.
And my two little raptor pals who review food, Bob the Raptor and Joe, they say jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, interesting for me, but Joe is out.
Hey, I say everybody needs to do it once, and then you might change your mind.
You might. I haven't ever thought about doing that yet, but I'll I'll never say never, which is what your name of your album is.
Exactly.
And I listened to that song um, on there, and it came across to me as a classic love song. Like finally finding, like you never thought you were going to find the person that you are looking for, and you finally find them. Is that something that's personal experience out of your life?
It is, and you know what? It's one of those fairy tales that I love singing relatable music. So even though it is something that I've either been through or wanted to find, every girl, let's face it, just dreams of that fairy tale love. And that's kind of what that is. And then it's showing that even once you fall in love, or you find that somebody, there's something else that you either learn about them, or you expand your life and do different things, and then it's just a constant falling again and again. And that is that perfect love that I think everyone's trying to find. And I think this one just portrays it so well. I fell in love with that song, just the melody of it, the lyrics. There's not one thing in that song, and I think that's what kind of helped portray it in the album title. It was just, to me, the most perfect song on the album. Just the way it was mixed, the way it was sung, the way we put it together. Just absolutely everything about it was what I wanted to portray in a debut.
Yeah, and it was just the way that you tell your stories, like magic of the moment. That one really got me because I started to try to do it more myself. Is practicing being mindful, and that's what seems like that song's all about. Just be mindful of that moment happening that you're probably going to remember later. Enjoy it when it's going on.
Absolutely. Magic of the Moment was such a fun song. It's one of those carefree summer, fall, friends getting together. And you're right, when you're having that kind of fun and letting loose, you don't always see what's going on. So, once in a while, there could be that somebody or that spark or those couple moments of anything. It could be, a few friends sitting there looking back saying, hey, we had such a good time. A lot of that we just pass by. Our lives just get so hectic and crazy. And this is a good reminder of, letting the music play and just letting everything, play by ear and having fun.
Yeah, and I went back, and I mean I'm on YouTube too, and we all have embarrassing videos. So I know you probably like some of the first ones that you did. You aren't too happy with the sound quality and all that kind of stuff, but I have to say your voice. Shined through this whole time, like even, and I thought it was really cool because I'd love to talk to her one day myself. But when you played Jewel, who will say, or not who will save yourself, but you were meant for me, you did that one, and your voice did that really well. I know you're excited to be playing your own songs too, so I kind of wanted to ask you, how does it feel going from people singing along with you doing cover songs to now some people knowing your songs and singing them with you?
It's really cool. It's kind of surreal. I haven't had that happen much. There's still a lot of work I need to do. Some people still have no idea who Ashley Puckett even is. But for the ones that do, and when I see people dancing to the song, and even if they don't know the words just yet, just when my song is playing out somewhere and they're getting along with it, moving their heads and having a good time, I know that that's the whole meaning behind all of this. And
Right.
you add the people who actually know the lyrics, it's super cool to see. It's just kind of that heartwarming feeling, like my work here is done.
Yeah, and I was talking, to another artist, and they were saying that the coolest part is when somebody comes up and says, "Oh, that got me through a tough time," or like you were saying, having a relatable song. Like, has there been ones that have really touched you already from people saying that to you and fans saying that to you?
Yes, and honestly, that's one thing that kind of brought me to this moment through the years with music. Growing up from a young age, music has always been part of my life. It's always been a passion that I knew was somewhere going to take me, to the point where music is part of my daily life or is my life, and here we are. But there's been a lot of those times when I bring somebody to tears, or whether it's happy or sad, or I have somebody come up after a performance or after a song and tell me how much they were touched by that, or what memory it brought back, or who it made them thought of. And honestly, that's the reason. I'm sure a lot of artists do this, but that's certainly a huge reason as to why I do this, because that's the kind of feedback that makes me feel that I'm doing a good job, that I'm doing what people want, what my fans want, what my friends want to hear. And, at the end of the day, I do this a lot just so, I can relieve stress. And, part of my writing is so I'm not good with words in person as I am in song. So a
Yeah.
huge part of, my songwriting is so I can release kind of what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, even if the world has no idea what it's coming from. It's an outlet for me. So when I'm able to touch somebody because of that, it's a really special moment, and I know that I'm on the right track, and this is where I should be. This is what I should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's exciting when you finally find that in life, especially when it's something that you enjoy doing as well. And Blue Wave Odyssey, he says you look like Marilyn Monroe, but Miss Southern Belle says you look like the girl from Dirty Dancing. So they're having it out there in the chat to figure out which is which.
Hey, I gotta say, I get Marilyn a lot, but I've not heard the woman from Dirty Dancing. That's a new one. So thank you.
Oh yeah, so you got two new things today. Um, I in one of those videos on your YouTube, it was New Year's Rockin' Eve, and it reminded me of when I used to host karaoke and stuff like that, just trying to get people into it and all that kind of stuff. Um, is there any one of those times from back then when you were doing like little parties like that you remember just having a better time than you thought you were going to have, Adam?
Probably all of them. So I didn't know what I was getting into for the New Year's Rockin' Eve, and I knew that it was going to be fun. I knew that it's New Year's. How could you not have a good time? So
Right.
I did definitely enjoy it a lot more than I thought I would. Speaking of Marilyn Monroe, you guys will like this one. I would do Marilyn Monroe impersonations. Not
Oh
too many
man.
of them. I didn't get into that full time or anything, but I did a few. And the one I made a woman cry when I sang to her as Marilyn. I think she was in her, she's turning 80 something, I believe. Such a sweet woman. I made her cry. And then there was this time that I did do a little bit of a show as Marilyn for a birthday. And again, that was another one I walked into kind of blindly, didn't know the family, didn't know anyone there. And when I walked in, we started playing the music, but it turned out a lot more fun than I thought it would be. Everyone loved it afterwards. Cake is one of my favorite food groups, and there was cake there, and we got to socialize with everybody afterwards. So it was a really good time.
Yeah, it seems like that would be like a good side benefit. Like out of all jobs to have where you're dealing with, I mean, when you look at it, they're kind of customers, right? You're hired for entertainment, so they're kind of your customers. But they're there to have a good time in the first place. Like nobody's there because the item didn't fit, and they're there to return it. So they're that's a kind of fun benefit to the job. You're people that want to have fun in the first place. They're not there to do anything else.
Right.
Um, I was listening to Sound of a Heartbreaking, and it seemed to me like you were sitting in a restaurant somewhere and you happen to have a pad and a pen and you watch this scene play out in front of you, of that breakup happening or whatever that it ended up being.
Honestly, that song, I can't even remember what made me say this song needs to be on my debut album, because a lot of people like it, but then there's a lot of people that, weren't too fond of that one. For
Mhm.
me, the way the production went, I thought it's a really fun song. To have some different instruments in the background that weren't necessarily in all of the other, more modern country, or slightly pop country that we were going for on the album. And I love songs that come across as story songs that do just that. They tell you from a moment to where you can play in your head the scenario going on. I absolutely love listening to songs like that. And I think that's part of what made me see this opportunity to take this song and make it just that one of those story songs. And it's weird because that story that I made up in my head, every time I sing the song, it's the same story replaying over and over again. So those are some of my favorites.
Right. And you use the term living the dream. And so I kind of want to ask you, is it sometimes surreal to realize you talk to these people and you're going these places and you have your first album now? Because for me, it kind of when I went back and listened to your songs again after seeing where you started on YouTube all those years ago, it was like, wow, just amazing for me. So how does it feel for you? Because I watched it like within a few minutes, right? And you lived this for years. So how does it feel being there now and being in that position?
It is a bit surreal, and a lot of days just kind of feel like it's not happening, as weird as that sounds. It's been a gradual change in pace. You know, and I wasn't ever expecting anything to change, by the snap of a finger. But we've had so many really neat things happening from the time that I joined the MTS family. And, we had a mention in Billboard. We had a number one song on the New Music Weekly charts just a couple weeks back. And so many things in between that, normally you move just right past because life happens. You have all this stuff going on. You're so busy and you're like, oh, this is cool. Then, you start telling everyone's, saying how cool this is, and, we live in the moment. And, for about 5 minutes there, I'm super excited. And then, something happens, you get a phone call, and the next thing you know, you're, on your way to doing something else, and you kind of forget about it. So, I've learned that in these moments, you have to kind of take all those little successes and, really start paying more attention to them instead of, just letting them go. And it's really hard to fathom because, I'm still living typically a normal life right now. I'm still, not everyone knows who I am. And it's, I'm more of a star, across the US from people who are listening to my songs on the radio. I know there's, somebody out in South Dakota wearing my t-shirt and, things like that. And I'm still trying to build a local, Pennsylvania base too. So, it's kind of a catch-22. I have, a little bit of the fame to people that I'm not really close to. And then I still have people that have no idea what I'm doing with my life. So, it's fun, I guess, still living this kind of double life.
Right.
But it's, a little bit different than I thought it would be. And I think it's just because I'm living in the middle of it. And, when I look back, oh, we had a number one song. We were in Billboard magazine. It's so cool. But when you're seeing it for the first time, you're like, how did this happen? Oh my goodness. And, it's a little bit different to take in.
Yeah, it's surprising when you work so hard for that success. And I kind of wanted to ask you about that, like when you're talking about Billboard and stuff, because you started at 16, and I know when I played guitar and all that stuff, I had the fantasies of, oh, that'd be cool if I was a rock star one day. So how does it feel when it starts going from fantasy to playing on stages and actually in a recording studio and all that kind of stuff? Is it kind of give you flashbacks when you were younger and just starting playing and learning the chords and all that kind of stuff?
A little bit. I think even, you mentioned the recording. I think even that was a bit surreal when it was going on. It just turned into, we're here, a couple times a week, 8 hours a day. We're having fun. The world doesn't matter when we're here in the studio, and we're just kind of, having fun. But then, once that was all over with and we had the album complete, I missed the guys. I missed the studio. I miss recording. I miss the laughter. I miss everything about it, the creativity, everyone just, coming together and having fun. And, I missed those things. So it was another great example of how we just, we move on day to day. We're living in it. And then all of a sudden we're looking back, just wishing it took a little bit longer. But
Right.
yeah, all good times.
When I listened to Medicine, it made me think of having a person that makes like not necessarily physical stuff, but like anxiety and worry about the future go away. That's what I kind of got out of it. I don't know where that was written from. I'm kind of interested in that one too.
Yes, this was a very special song. When I heard it the first time, and when you hear it here, there is some background vocals. It was actually my producer that sang on that one with me. And I'm a sucker for duet love songs. So that's kind of what made me fall in love with it in the first place. As you go on and listen to it, though, again, it's one of those raw tunes that just, it's very easy listening. It's, romantic if you look at it that way. You finally found somebody that's your pill, that's your medicine to everything you can always run to. A lot of people right now have been, even though that was our first single, we're on single number 3. So I didn't think we were still going to get a lot of attention on Medicine, but with everything going on right now in the world, a lot of people really like listening to that song from a spiritual standpoint, and I, to be honest with you, never saw it that way. But again, just like story songs, I like the songs that you can kind of take in multiple different ways, because one, you are relating to a lot of different people, but you're also relating to a lot of different scenarios and situations. And with everything going on, a lot of people seeing it as a spiritual song, Baby, You're My Medicine, as if they're speaking with God. And it's kind of one of those things that I'm like, I can't believe I never looked at it that way. So it kind of changed my light on my own song, which was kind of cool, but that's it's a very raw tune, a very soothing sound, which is, another great reason as to why I really wanted that to be part of my debut.
Yeah, and Linda R says she loves that song. So
thank you.
I wanted to like Mirror. When I heard that song, it took me. I mean, there's a thing of, it was a story behind an object that you didn't know, that it had more meaning than it did. But it also kind of made me go look at it as, you can't tell by looking at something, glancing at it or seeing it on the outside to know what's necessarily wrapped up on the inside of it.
Right. And I think that's, that's with life, that's not just music, that's anything. And, humans, people, everything, it's the same way. It's, we can't judge a book by its cover, right? Right.
I want to know, when did you, actually I was gonna say, because Bulletproof was released on your birthday, but your birthday's in January and mine's in November. So I want to say, I feel you having a birthday near Christmas as a kid that had a bunch of siblings. It's never fun near that time of year. You can't have parties and stuff like that. And then, you got to wait for Christmas for your birthday presents when that time came, basically. But how was that, having it released on your birthday? Was that kind of cool?
It was. And, I really like being a part of absolutely everything that has to do with music and my career. And if I can, have my say in absolutely everything, I certainly am up for that. I was like that with, in the studio with the recording. I wanted to be part of absolutely everything. So when I was actually able to pick the release date, and they were cool with doing January 9th because they wanted to do something for the new year. So I said, well, what better than the new year than, my birthday, because I'm one of those people that, January is my birthday. It's not the 9th, it's January. So
Right.
I celebrate all month.
Right.
So it was pretty cool.
I have a friend that was like that. Like, it's my birthday week. He would always do that, and we give him a hard time. But it's like, man, if you're having fun, more power to you. More power to you. And I will remember, unlike some of the other ones, like, what's her name and stuff about bad endings to relationship. I will remember seeing like it was looking fondly at some of the relationships in the past and saying, some of them weren't all bad.
Right. And I will remember you as one of those songs that have touched a lot of people since it's been on the album. We mentioned, there's songs that can be taken in multiple different ways, and the ones that, bring tears or joy to somebody. And that was one of them because, some people do see it as a love, that there might have been a breakup. And, although you guys thought you were in love, you might love each other in a different way, but you weren't meant to be. And you learned something from each other in that relationship and moved on. But there's also a way of looking at that song, which is the majority of listeners that I know have seen it was more of loss. So it was a song of somebody who may have passed, and they've left so much love and light in the way you do things, live life, and it's something that you always cherish those memories. And I've had more of people taking it that way than a relationship scenario. So that's definitely been the one that I think had the most, tearful response of the album so far.
Yeah. And the song I Still Chose to Ride, it reminded me in my past of like just doing something for the story, even though it might end up bad. So it kind of reminded me of that, and it's like making the wrong choice. It's going to end bad. Like, there's probably a very interesting tale behind that one.
Yeah, that one, I Still Chose to Ride, is probably the anthem and story of my life. So it's a wonder we didn't release that as a single.
Yeah. And the first one that you did on there, I just wanted to do one more on the video. It reminded me because I used to remember singing the song with my dad in the car, because listening to the oldie station. Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? That cover that you did of that one was really good. Was that the first one that you felt comfortable enough to record and actually put down on video?
So it wasn't. There was a huge break in time where music wasn't necessarily in my life as much as it always should have been. And that song was kind of it was my first song coming back into all of the Ashley's "You're wasting your talent" type comments. So, life gets you in a lot of different ways. And that's kind of where I was before I listened to that song and started singing that song. So that song kind of brought back everything that I missed, everything that kind of led me here. So that was a song, from the Amy Winehouse version. There's so many different versions. That one was just the, stripped down guitar version. And when I heard Carole King's version, that's what I fell in love with, just the way she sang it. So what we did was we put a twist on. So I would start singing that as one of my cover songs every time I played somewhere. And it was, Carole King's soothing love song story mixed with the acoustic guitar. And that kind of became the Ashley Puckett version. And it's definitely one song, if I would do another album and have the opportunity to put on some type of cover song, I would absolutely love to use that song, just because it was such a life changer to me. Very meaningful song. And it's beautiful. Who doesn't love Carole King, and who doesn't love that song? So
Right.
that would definitely be a number one. But yeah, coming back in from a period of time where I really wasn't focusing as much on music, whether it's writing, singing, or anything, that song kind of changed a lot of things for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see it being one of those times in your life where you realize you're you're good at what you do, right? Like you just have those little moments where it's not self-validating, you get validation, like, okay, I can do this, and like a little bit of confidence from that to build up to do more.
Right. And again, as artists, I think we're always looking for that, not just to put us on a pedestal of any sorts, but just to make sure that people are still behind what we're trying to portray. And
Right.
I know for me, that's something that I look for all the time. I want to make sure that my fans really enjoy what I'm doing. At the same aspect, I'm going to do what makes me happy too. I'm not going to
Right.
start singing straight pop music just because everybody else wants to do that. I have to have a little bit of me and my classic country in there too, just so I'm fulfilling my own dream, because that's why I'm here too.
Right. Yeah. If you're not happy doing what you're doing, then why do it? Why not just get a
Right.
just a 9 to 5 somewhere and do that if you're gonna do something like that. So, but I hope that you start putting a little more videos out there on YouTube again, because I think it'd be interesting just to follow your journey now, going through what you're going through now, and who knows in the future. It'd probably just be cool for you to have to look back on as a diary. So
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about a lot of different options. There's definitely going to be some stuff coming sooner than later. It was definitely a weird time going through this now that everything's on Facebook and Instagram and basically just all online. And, I've never been a fan of Facebook Live. So,
right.
it's a lot different than, what I thought I was getting myself into when we put the album out in February. But so I don't know. We're making some changes, and
Yeah.
I think we're going to do some online clips and some shows, at least something soon.
Yeah. No. Nobody's plans ended up working out this year, I think.
Right.
Don't know
You know,
why. Don't know why, but I don't think anybody's plans ended up working out.
no, not at all.
Well, I want to thank you again for coming in today and talking to me, and I really appreciate you being here. I'm gonna say goodbye to the people. Is there anything that you're excited about coming up? Any shows or anything on the horizon?
Yeah, so the one and only show that I actually have booked right now is going to be opening for Mark Chestnut, and that will be at Jurgles Rhythm Grill, excuse me. That's going to be in Warrendale, Pennsylvania, and that will be toward the end of November. So if anyone is interested, that is listed on the website on the tour page, ashleypuckett.com/tour, and you can get tickets there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited. This was actually a rescheduled show, so I'm extra excited. This was supposed to be happening in March, so you can check that out.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see you get out and play a show then, because it's probably been getting antsy not being able to do it for a while. So
It's going to be a lot of fun.
yeah. All right, guys. Until next time, stop waiting for life to happen.